Hi, welcome back, everyone. We are starting with the first panel discussion for the day. We have Suhas Gopinath, Sanskriti Davle, and Pankaj Raut with us. So, before I hand it over to Jagruti, who will be moderating this panel discussion, I would like to tell you all that this panel discussion will be followed by a Q&A, and you can raise your hand to come on the stage or ask the question or put your questions in the question window, and we'll try to address as many questions as the time permits. So over to you, Jagruti.
Thanks, Anuya. Welcome to all panelists. So, hello everyone. It gives me great pleasure to kick off the proceedings for the day with an interesting panel discussion and an amazing set of panelists. Since we are going to launch a program focusing on youth entrepreneurship, we have with us three young achievers who have started off while in their teens and continue to follow their passion and building on. Our theme for the panel is Futurepreneurs, taking ideas to reality. And I'd like to welcome Suhas, Pankaj, and Sanskriti. I will start with Suhas, who started off the earliest. A question to you, Suhas. Starting a company from a cyber cafe at the age of 14 and going on to become its CEO at age of 17, that's remarkable. Later, you conferred a young global leader for 2008 and 9 by the World Economic Forum. Can you tell us more about your journey over the years?
Yeah, thanks a lot for this. Thank you for the introduction on this, and it's also welcome to my fellow speakers. So I started my company at the age of 14 as an accident because my dad did not buy me a computer at home, and I had friends in school who used to have home computers, and it was kind of I was feeling that I was the odd man out when my friends wanted to exchange CDs, the game CDs, and I didn't have a computer at home. And I think and it was the same time, it was early 2000 when of course the internet era and home computers was getting into the market. And in our family we had this rule, which is like a video game, that is, as you move up your academic ladder and your academic performance, your pocket money would also go up. And so I was a middle bencher in my school, and of course my brother, my elder brother, was the smart one. He was like the blue-eyed boy of my school. So he made it to his engineering. So he used to get these additional incentives for him to go to the cyber cafe. And it was one day that he accompanied me to a cyber cafe, and I was very fascinated by the world of internet. I signed up for an email account with Hotmail.com, which was his gift for my birthday, was my email account. And I was very excited by the world of internet, and I thought that I should go back. Um, I should go to the internet cafe again. And with that excitement, I went to the school the next day morning, and I was waiting for my lunch break to share my username and the password on the blackboard to all my friends, because I had this knowledge that, or I had this misconception that if anyone needs to send me an email, they should of course know your username and the password. So it was kind of, yeah, I mean, it is how I started this journey, and I wanted to go to the internet cafe again. My pocket money could not permit me to go visit there, but I used to see this shop not open from opened in the afternoon, and after my school hours, I used to see the shop always shut down. So all my school days, I was an introvert. For the first time, I had to get out of my comfort zone to ask the shop owner that when he goes for his lunch break, is there a way that I could operate the shop when he goes for his lunch, so that I could use the internet for free of cost, and in exchange, he could earn additional income. And yeah, that's how I started this journey. Started to build websites as a freelancer, and eventually he trusted me, the cyber cafe owner Shukdev, and he introduced me to his friends in the US who wanted to build websites or who wanted to offload their freelance projects to me back again. And yeah, and eventually I had one small instance where one of the American companies declined to work with me because of my age. And yeah, I think it is where I actually decided that as far as you're a freelancer or an individual contributor, you're always seen based on your age, academic qualification. They would always have this prejudice. And that's exactly when I actually decided that if you're a CEO of a company, if you're your own boss, they wouldn't ask how old are you, how much you've studied, what's your qualification. So I finally decided to start Global Sync. And I wanted people to more accept me more seriously. It was a one-man show, but I used to sign my emails as the CEO of the company, and everyone used to think that, wow, okay, it's American company, it's a big company. And of course the Indian laws did not allow me to start the company in India, so it was incorporated in San Jose. And the irony was I'd never sat on a flight, I'd never gone out of India then. And so um, I started, and I think it's been very interesting. I think so it's almost 2 decades right now that I've been managing the company, and yeah, we've expanded over about 11 countries today. Yeah.
Thanks, Suhas. That was really wonderful to hear from you, and I hope even the audience found it very interesting. So over to you, Sanskriti. So Tinkerbell Labs is your first venture, and the genesis goes back to your engineering undergrad. Can you talk us through your journey a bit and all of those hackathons you have been part of, leading to your venture and today? You can start off with a brief introduction of to what Tinkerbell Labs does, and followed by the other part of my question.
Sure. Thanks, Jagriti. And Suhas is a tough act to follow, starting a company at 14. But so I'll introduce Tinkerbell Labs. So we make braille learning devices for visually impaired children. So we're basically digitizing the braille learning pedagogy. And like in light of the current pandemic situation where education is moving online in general for everybody, the tech that we're developing is even more important for visually impaired students. So we actually got started in a hackathon, like in college, casually sort of looking at what you could do. So there's a credit card size computer called a Raspberry Pi. And one of the first things that you learn to build if you're experimenting with electronics or digital design is typically a 7-segment display. And how we started was building a 7-segment display and then looking at, okay, what else can we do? And one of the very, like from a code perspective, the next thing is a Braille cell. So we built a very basic Braille alphabet box, and this was back in 2014. And when we took it to a school, we realized that you have teenagers who are playing with an alphabet box, what is essentially an alphabet box. They're playing for hours at a stretch. And that is when we figured out that that this is a huge problem for us. It started as a hack. So I mean, you're engineers. My team and I were from BITS Pilani Goa campus. We're doing hackathons in college or anywhere else just for fun. And there was that pivotal moment when we realized, okay, there's maybe more to this than just the delight of creating technology. It's a lot more impactful to some users out there. And so it's been a long journey post that. Going from a technology to a proper product to a proper business, and they all have their own stages. But I think I've been really lucky to be a part of the Indian startup ecosystem, and I mean the one in BITS as well. Very supportive for college entrepreneurs. And right now with even YC Startup School going online and programs like Startup Reseau, it's wonderful the kind of support that is there for young student entrepreneurs.
Thanks, Sanskriti. That was really an inspiring story. So my question to you, Pankaj. Sangli to London to Mumbai and getting funded by VSS of Paytm and getting shortlisted by Y Combinator has been a roller coaster route for Anjana Lens. How did you end up building India's first AR headset, starting off from your undergrad degree in London?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. To give everyone just a quick brief about what we do. So we at Anjana Lens make mixed reality glasses that is used by defense and enterprise globally. So as a result of these glasses, these companies or even defense forces are saving millions of dollars every year. Plus, they get these superpowers of seeing through walls. They get the superpower of digital teleportation. And the journey has been really, really interesting. We are now working with large enterprises. We are working with Indian Army, Navy, DRDO, large other organizations as well. But when I started this journey, I'm from a very, very small town called Sangli. I did not even know the word that startup like this exists. I was really bad in English, but there was an intense inner desire to do something of my own, build a business that might have a positive impact on the society. So since early childhood, I used to look at these Bond movies and get really fascinated. I used to feel like, wow, they are such powerful superpowers that they get only because of technology. So I always used to try to make technology cool things within my house. And after my 11th, 12th standard, I wanted to study everything, mechanical, electronics, robotics, so that I could build something of my own. Couldn't find something in India. And that is wherein what I did then was just took a photos of everything that I had done, just randomly emailed to multiple universities outside India that were doing mechatronics course, that is mechanical, electronics, robotics, all combined. Luckily, I got a scholarship in UK, went to UK, studied undergrads there. I was the youngest one there at the age of about 17. Started working part-time as a barista, bartender, dish cleaner, because I felt that if I want to do this, I have to take care of everything else, even support myself, because my family were not that financially rich enough to support the entire thing. So started doing that, came back to India and started Ajna Lens. So I think the journey has really been ups and downs with a lot of roller coasters. Jagrati, you're mute.
Oh, sorry. That's awesome, Pankaj, and we look forward to hear more successful stories from you. So we move on to our next set of questions, and I have a common question for all three of you. So what are the two most critical factors that have helped your venture to where it is today? We can start from Suhas, then Sanskriti, and then Pankaj.
Yeah, I think, of course, when we started the company, we were a small company. We were a boutique company that was building websites, like as basic as that. Like it was targeting these American SMEs that did not have a website then. And eventually we started to diversify because they needed other applications, CRM applications, they needed enterprise systems. So, of course, eventually, as we speak today, we are a product company. We are building, we're offering cybersecurity solutions, and we're building enterprise systems for the Indian defense, for Indian government, for education sector, and BFSI. And I think the only thing which I've always believed as an entrepreneur was always having that fire in the belly and to be shamelessly aggressive. So I would want to quote with one example, of course, over here is that as it's also the DNA in Indians that like sometimes we're extremely humble. We do not want to talk. We do not want to brag about our products or services. And unlike our friends in the US, of course, in where of course you'd get the impression that the product is already built when you only see the PowerPoint or when it's the idea stage. So I think actually for me it was a major shift, like to be like from an introvert to be a shamelessly aggressive guy, like as an entrepreneur. And of course, why do I use this word is because the first example was I could have easily sat back indicating that my dad is not rich, I cannot afford a computer, so I can't go to a cyber cafe. Or you get out of the comfort zone, ask the cyber cafe owner. And second example was we were building ERP systems for Kendriya Vidyalaya, or we were building ERP systems for schools. And I was about 17 years. We had a sales team that was which was selling to individual schools. And I was always feeling that whenever we would approach the 5th of the month, which is the payday for the company, I would always have the fear that if we will be able to fulfill the commitments, because we never could get this big order or a big sale. And it's when I decided that if there is a way that we could sell it to Kendriya Vidyalaya schools itself, because they are the ones who are operating largest amount of schools. And I started from the principle I wanted to find out who is the decision maker to procure a system for all over India, and it happened to be the KV commissioner. And he never gave me appointment. I was in my first semester engineering. In between my classes, I would make calls to his PA, and I used to make so many calls to his PA Barnali that I would know her wedding anniversary. I would know how many kids that she has. And she would always tell me that Sabji is very busy. He can't give you appointment. and they never took me seriously. And it is when I told her that, you know what, ma'am, I would never ever make a call to you, but would you be able to share his flight details so that I would at least meet him in flight? Because if your Sabji is traveling so much, then I would like to meet him even in the flight. She laughed at me and she thought I was kidding, and I was very serious. And she did share the flight details, Mumbai to Delhi, and I flew from Bangalore to Mumbai. And I happened to meet him on a plane, and I pretended that I did not know him at all. Or for the first time, I suited up, wore sunglasses, sat on the plane. I never spoke to him, and until the meal was served, I was operating on my laptop with high brightness so that he starts the conversation. And then, so then he asked me who I am. He was very intrigued, and I told him, I don't know who you are. And we started the conversation, and we landed. It's like the Inception movie, that as soon as he landed, he told her, would you meet me at my office? And then of course, it's history. And similarly, when the World Economic Forum wanted to meet Bill Gates, and of course, Bill Gates' office never responded back, and he was my role model for me to start a company at an early age. And when he never gave me appointment, I was hoping that in the public session, because it was winter, it was January then in Davos, and I was only hoping that after this long session, he should probably use the public washroom. And I was already waiting at the public washroom, hoping for him. And I bumped him to Bill Gates, and that was featured on the BBC video, that how I bumped him to him. And the only thing he told me was, I've heard of elevator pitches, but it's the first time somebody is pitching me in a bathroom. And I think sometimes in life the opportunities don't wait, and it's extremely important that we need to get out of our comfort zone, have that fire in the belly, and execute it. So many times it may be wrong decisions, but it is extremely important to execute with a sense of urgency. And I think I don't conclude with that. Thanks.
Sanskriti, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Yeah. Yeah, Sanskriti, you can continue.
All right. Once again, what an inspiring story, Suhas. This was brilliant. And come back to, two things that you need to sort of have ensured that, you become successful. I would say it is about, at least for me, the learning has been more about identifying all stakeholders that are critical to your success and making sure you are adding value to them. It could be your customer, it could be another decision maker, it could be media, it could be anybody, it could be your own team. But identifying every single stakeholder that is critical to your success and basically making sure that your business is providing something of value to everybody involved. That is when you will truly become successful, and things will start working and scaling. That is one thing I think is very critical to sort of remember, because I guess at least as engineers or as students, we tend to focus on the technology and, hey, what's better? What is the next feature? It may not always be the next feature that sort of unlocks the doors for you. That is one thing. And the second thing I would say is just, there is luck and there is timing. There is an element of luck and timing with respect to business. However, you need to be prepared to be lucky. You need to be prepared to take that shot that comes your way also. And that is only by being at your best and then making sure you're pushing your hardest. You have to always be prepared. I don't know. I think that's another. There is an element of luck and timing in every business, but only luck and timing will not get you anywhere. So you have to be working hard, and you have to be prepared for that stroke of luck that could come your way.
I think for us, there have been two things which have really helped us come to what stage we are. The number one thing is for us has been persistence. There have been multiple times wherein we did not know how we would pay salaries. So we had team about 10, 15 people working for us, and we only had salary for the next month or so. And that has not been one or twice. It has happened multiple times. And it's not just one challenge that you face, but you face a lot of challenge if you start your own ventures. That is wherein having that persistence to continuously keep going in whenever you're facing all these challenges is, I think, something which has kept us or has brought us to where we are right now. And then the second thing which has helped us and which now correlates to the first point as I think about it is the growth mindset. The ability to grow as a person, grow the product, and grow the company based on what you're getting from the environment or from the market. Let's say you are not able to raise funds, then you as a company need to update the product or update or find out ways how you can grow, learn, pitch better, or find the right product market fit so that you get that right funding. Yeah. So the growth mindset has really helped us, having consistently been persistent on our vision. And then secondly is not just being ego driven and doing it our way, but doing it what is required into the market. So keeping a growth mindset to always grow, improve, and work towards has really helped us.
So thanks to all my panelists. That was an awesome, great insights for our futurepreneurs. So my last question to all three of you. Uh, uh, so after this question, we'll be taking a Q&A round. So before that, going to the theme of our discussion, what is that one quality a futurepreneur must have for taking their ideas to reality? We can start from Suhas, then Sanskriti, and then Pankaj.
Suhas, you're on mute.
Yeah. So if I think the foremost important is that, of course, you definitely have to be visionary, and I've always believed, at least when we see our counterparts across China, like when we've had experience with working with those investors or with the team, I think the only thing I would want to take from the Chinese entrepreneurs probably is the way they would execute with a sense of urgency, and they would think that they would always tell me that you'll have to take your product as quickly as possible to the market, because you need to be worried of those unknown competitors, like the ones who are operating out of garage, the ones who have massive resources to very quickly to pivot or to build something that you're already building, and to make you irrelevant. So I think I've seen many entrepreneurs who always are so passionate about the idea, and sometimes they don't hit the reality at all. And I've seen some of my own friends where they would have an amazing idea, and they would come to me and saying that, and would show me the Economic Times article saying that, hey, I had exactly the same idea, and now this guy has stolen it and he's raised money, right? So I've had friends who used to tell that even I had an idea like Flipkart, but I didn't build one. So why did you not build one, right? So I think it's very, very important that you will have to execute as quickly as possible, fail fast in case if it doesn't work, and pivot. I earlier used to be extremely emotional about the products that we build, and I wouldn't want to accept failure. And at least thanks to one of my chief operating officer, in one of the board meeting, he told that his experience is my age and I should listen to him. But I of course definitely value that, because he told that sometimes when things don't work out, you will have to accept it with grace, accept the failure, and of course very quickly pivot it. And I think that's very important.
So we can move on to Sanskriti.
Right. I would say the one thing that is important is to sort of keep your own spirits and belief high. Like, as an entrepreneur, you need to be the first one to believe in yourself, even when others don't, especially when others don't. And it's natural. Everybody has highs and lows, and so you need to make your own mental fortitude a big priority. Is what I would tell everyone. Like, whether it is by having like-minded people, like this is where programs like accelerators, incubators, or finding a community of entrepreneurs at similar stages really helps, because you realize that you're not alone in the problems that you're facing. You realize that other people have done it, and you take inspiration from them, and you find that strength to figure out what is the next thing you need to do and to solve it. Because as an entrepreneur, your belief and your dream and your vision of the future is the only thing that is driving you. And if you lose that, then there's no fuel for the company to grow. So yeah, protect your vision and protect your own self-belief and energy is one thing I would like to say to all futurepreneurs.
Looking at the event that we are talking about, wherein people are thinking about new ideas and concept, I think one thing which is very, very critical and very, very important is to have consistent actions. Like I've seen 99% of the companies or ideas fail at the early idea stage itself, only because there's not enough consistent action that's been taken about, right? And later, even if we say the success ratio of startups has been 1 or 2 startups out of 7 to 8 startups, that's because somewhere the founders probably have given up on that consistent action. Because the market changes, the product changes, everything can change, but your consistent action has to be always there. The massive the action, the better, but at least bare minimum you should have a consistent action on daily basis. One thing it does is, as on daily basis, if you have consistent action, it creates enough momentum to push you through tough times. And on the other hand is also, if you power it up with a growth mindset, you will find your correct direction one way or the other.
Okay, so thank you Suhas, Pankaj and Sanskriti for the wonderful chat. And now we'll open up the floor for question round. So I think there's already one question up. So the question is from Nihar. What are your thoughts on Indian startup ecosystem, and if you could change one thing, what it would be?
Yeah, if I can share my views, I think it's probably that many times I've seen in at least in most of the Indian startups that so they're struggling to have that like so-called the first mover advantage in many times. But I've been a belief that I think our Indian startups should actually take inspirations also from startups in the US, where they believe that you need to be the last mover advantage, right? So how do you be the last mover in that game? Like Google was the last search engine. I think mankind would see it, but when I started to use internet, we had Alta Vista to Lycos to everything, and similar for the email as well. We've gotten Gmail. Of course, earlier that we had Yahoo, Hotmail. So I think the Indian startups should also understand that how do you can be the first mover advantage, but how do you ensure that you're not going to be irrelevant? Like how do you of course and how do you also have a last mover advantage? Yeah.
Okay, thanks Suhas. So I'll move on to the next question. Innovation versus invention. What do we need more? Do startups only need disruptive ideas? This question is posted by Mustansir. Yeah, so anyone?
Hi, I'll take that. I will say innovation is what we need more. I mean, there's plenty of inventive ideas. Ideas are many, and a good innovation is what actually makes the implementation successful. So, I mean, if this was a bunch of scientists, then invention would be our forte. But as entrepreneurs, we need to innovate, and innovation means taking that inventive steps and then seeing it through till it succeeds in the market and gets adopted and is usable by a lot of people. So definitely innovation. As startups, we should focus on innovation. That is the competitive advantage that we have over the incumbents anyway.
Thanks, Sanskriti. So third question is by Amit. Why do you think most of the Indian startups are copy of US or UK startups? instead of novel ideas. He's posted example also like Uber, Ola, Amazon, Flipkart.
I can take that.
Yeah.
The thing within the Indian ecosystem is the story has always been around the product or the concept or the idea. It has never been really about the problem statement of the customer, right? So it becomes easy to understand, okay, there is Amazon working, then we might have a Flipkart or something. So the entire ecosystem, even from the startups to the investors to everything, have always been focused on the product. The narrative has always been around the product, not around the customer's problem statement. So we see a lot of people then focusing there and now looking at creating copycats. What needs to change is the context about talking. When we talk about a startup, it should be about not what their product is, but what problem they are solving. So I think that if we change that narrative, if we change that context, we will start seeing more of innovative ideas. Plus, if there is a market, let's say for a Flipkart-like company in India, there is going to be a company there.
Thanks, Pankaj. By this, we wrap up. And I'll pass on the screen to my colleague, Anumeya.
Yeah. Thank you, Sanskriti, Pankaj, Suhas. Like inspiring stories. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I'm sure everybody here, like especially the students out there, can relate it to. And moving on to our next session, guys, we'll be back with our second panel discussion in few minutes. So just you can, network with the fellow attendees on the social lounge. We'll be back in some time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sanskriti. Thanks a lot, Pankaj.
Thank you so much, Pankaj.
I hope
Thank you so much for hosting.
Absolutely inspiring.
Would be lovely.